Best Ranger competition, the law of polarity. The law of polarity is what I'm going to talk to you guys about today. Listen, if you've never heard of the law of polarity, you need to start studying universal laws. If you want to get anywhere in life, you got to understand how the world and the universe works. Okay? Gravity is a law. It's something that happens, right? We can't fight gravity. There is a way in which the universe unfolds. Things happen just like gravity happens. You know, one of the laws of the universe is the law of cause and effect. Whatever you put into something, you get out of something. So one of the biggest failures of the academic system is that they teach us a lot about how to do and not a lot about how to win in life. Most people are working against gravity in their life. They don't understand that there is a force that can take them exactly where they want to go. And so what ends up happening is they get almost pulled through life like, you know, getting washed downstream. And instead of swimming with the stream, they're trying to swim up the current. All right, so what I mean is like the universal laws are these laws that govern the world around us and the universe. And if you can master these laws, then you can really make life start working for you. You can start really working with gravity. It's like if somebody didn't understand how gravity worked, they would probably try to be like walking on their hands all the time. Okay? You know, I don't know, something silly like that. But if they couldn't comprehend it, they couldn't work with it. And one of the universal laws that I want to talk to you guys about today is the law of polarity. Okay, the law of polarity means that everything has an opposite and equal. So just like the front of this coin has a front side, the back of this coin has a back side. Now, why is the law of polarity, why would this be so important for us to know? Well, why would the universal laws be important for us to know? Well, if I understand that there is a law of cause and effect, that if I do something, I get something in return. And if I do it enough, the greater the input, the greater the output, the greater the return. Well, then I can take myself and I can build myself into the leader that I want to be. I can build myself and create the life that I want, all by understanding and working with the laws of the universe. So the law of polarity. Everything has an opposite and equal. So the coin here has a front side and it has a back side. By the way, this coin is from when I competed at the Army's Best Ranger competition in 2014. I was way over my head when I competed in that competition. However, I ended up qualifying to compete. So if you guys don't know about the Army's Best Ranger competition, it is a grueling 3-day tournament. And I think it's 62 hours, if I remember correctly. They actually just had it. And basically, there's no planned eating, no planned sleeping, and you and a partner, or another Ranger buddy, compete against 51 other teams in the entire Army. Okay, the Army's Best Ranger teams. You guys compete against each other, and the top team wins the competition. It's called the Army's Best Ranger competition. You gotta be Ranger qualified, Airborne qualified in order to compete. Okay, so when I compete in the Army's Best Ranger competition, I was a brand new platoon leader, and my boss came up to me one day, and they were having the tryouts for the Best Ranger training for the team for our installation in our division in Hawaii. And my boss came up to me, and the tryouts were that week. I didn't know anything about the Army's Best Ranger competition. And he came up to me and said, "Hey, J Saul," because he used to call me J Saul. And we'll just call this guy Major Steele, right? So Major Steele came up to me and said, "Hey, J Saul, we should go out and do the Army's Best Ranger competition tryout for PT." And I was like, "Sir, I got my platoon, my infantry platoon. I don't really want to go compete in the Army's Best Ranger competition. I want to focus on training my guys, and I want to be there for my platoon." He's like, "You can do both." And that guy was a madman, right? He was exceptional because in order to train for both, you basically had to do 2 8-hour jobs. You had 6 to 8 hour jobs. You had to do the Army's Best Ranger competition, train up for 6 to 8 hours a day, and then on the other days you'd have to do, or on the same day, you'd have to do another 6 hours of being a platoon leader. And so your days just got longer. And anyways, I didn't want to do it at first, but I really respected the guy. And he had a special operations background. He was one of the best officers in our unit. And he went on to do some very high-level stuff in the military after that assignment. So while I respected this guy, he was developing me as a leader. And I listened to him. I said, all right, screw it. I'll listen to you, sir. I'll go out and we'll do the workout. And at this point in time, I had never really ran competitively longer than 5 miles. So I had done the ruck march, the 12-hour ruck march before, and I'd done that several times. But I wasn't an endurance athlete. I was like some meathead guy. Like, you know, if you looked at me, you would think I was a jock. Even though in high school I wasn't really a jock, I just wrestled year round. I was like a hacky sack kid, to be honest. It's kind of weird. But as an infantry officer, I kind of looked like and fit the bill of a jock. And I had a wrestling background. So I get out there and I go to compete, and it's a single-day competition to try out to see if you can qualify to train up and go compete at the Army's Best Ranger competition, which was going to be in about 4 or 5 months. So I go out there, and I wasn't blessed with endurance, but I was blessed with grit. And so when I got out there, I was so competitive, and my mental toughness just took over, and I ended up qualifying for the team, to be one of the teams. And the funny thing is that the day of the competition, Major Steele came up to me, and he was like, hey, J-Saul, I can't actually make it to the training today. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, my boss is pulling me in, roping me up for some stuff. I can't go. He's like, so have fun. And he kind of smiled. And I was like, so I got roped in to trying out for the Best Ranger competition, and you're just going to go and do this now. Anyways, whatever, I'll still go out and I'll do it, and I give my best. And so I think there was like 25 people or something like that, maybe 30 people that started the competition, the tryout that day. And by the end of the tryout, I think there was 13 people left that qualified. And from that 13, they told us that they were going to take 3 teams, and we were going to do another tryout. And after that tryout, we would get solidified in our position, and then we would continue the train up, and we would go to the competition, the Best Ranger competition, with 3 teams. And so the whole time I'm doing this, I think I'm way over my head. And you guys, if you're struggling with imposter syndrome, self-doubt, you don't think that you're in the right spot, that you want to do the next thing, but you're worried and you have fear, I've been there. The guys that I was competing and training alongside, these guys were doing like marathons, half marathons. They were running endurance events all the time. They were highly competitive, and they just had the endurance base, and I didn't. And so I thought that I was way out of my league. Okay. And, but what ended up happening is I just was too dumb to quit, and my mental toughness and my grit, my perseverance, my determination kept me in the game. So I just kept showing up, giving my best and not quitting, putting one foot in front of the other. This was a brutal series of tryouts and a train up. That very first tryout, just that tryout alone, we started at 6 o'clock. We ended about 2 p.m. We started the day with the Army physical fitness test. Okay, push-ups, pull-ups. It was actually the RPFT. Push-ups, pull-ups, 5-mile run. And then we did a 10-mile ruck. And I believe we did a 10-mile run after that. Okay, so it was basically like a hybrid of the RPFT, the Ranger Physical Fitness Test, and some other events. And then we did a 3-mile kit run. We did a bunch of stuff. And so this went on for a full almost 8 hours. And everybody's just snacking as you go. That was just the tryout. Okay? So we go from 20-something, 30-something people, Ranger qualified people, competitors, down to about 13. And then a month or 2 goes by, we compete again, and now we're down to 3 teams of 2. Okay, so we got 6 guys left. And I'm one of those 6 guys. Well, what ends up happening is, fast forward to the actual competition, we continue to train 5-6 days a week from anywhere from 6 to 8, sometimes even 10 hours a day. And I mean, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we would start our days with like 10-mile runs, then put on a ruck and do another 10 miles. And then we go to the gym and we lift weights, and then we'd go do swimming, and then we do land navigation. Like we would just do back-to-back training all day, military-related training and physical fitness. We would take apart, I remember one of the things we used to drill, because one of the things you do in the Army's Best Ranger competition is you disassemble and put together weapons for time. And so we would have a pile of weapons all taken apart, like the 249, 240, the M9, the M4, all in a pile, and you would be timed to go in there and put it all together as fast as you could. And we would get our times down to like, 1.5 minutes, maybe less than that, of putting 3 or 4 different weapon systems together. And then they had us do that with night vision goggles on. We would go into a room, they'd close the room, and then they'd have us do the same drill and put weapons together with night vision on. Crazy, right? So we would drill like that, and we do that for 4 months or so. Then we get to the Army's Best Ranger competition, and I start competing. Well, what ends up happening is I'm, again, way out of my league, or at least I feel like I am, and me and my partner both hit a physical wall, and we get crushed. And we basically make it through the first day and a half, and we're on the backside. It's Saturday at like, I think it was right before the sun was coming up Saturday, so it must have been Saturday morning around 4 o'clock in the morning. And we had already put in like 50 miles or something like that between running, rucking, and different things leading up into that point. So we're completely broke off, my partner and I. And what ends up happening is we're doing this unknown distance run and ruck. So we both got rucks on, heavy packs on, maybe we're carrying like 60, 70 pounds, and then we have some equipment we're carrying too. Well, we're in a good standing. We're in the top 20, the top 20th spot. So we're in the front of the pack on this unknown distance ruck, and the rest of the teams are behind us. There's 52 total teams at this event, and we're in the upper 20 of them. And maybe probably around 17 or like that, something like that. And I think we're probably at during this ruck, we're probably at like the 16-mile marker. And all of a sudden we hit this wall, and then out of nowhere, these other teams start passing us up. Well, about a quarter mile from the end of that event, this truck pulls up and they stop us and they tell us we're disqualified. And basically what had happened is we had gotten leapfrogged, and the top 25 teams had made it through the finish line of that event, and the instructors cut off everybody else that was behind the 25 people, the 25 teams, and they said that you guys aren't going on to the next stage. They basically thinned the pack and advanced the top competitors. Me and my partner got cut. And what ended up happening across the next day and a half, well, that was just completely, just utterly horrible, because we were broke, defeated. We jumped in this Humvee. They took us to the hospital, and they put IVs in us because we were super dehydrated. They had us lay in these hospital beds. Our bodies were just completely broken from all the physical training we had done that day. I mean, I remember feeling like I got hit by a car laying in that hospital bed. And I just had IVs running through me, and I could just see it was like a movie, I could just see the lights above me. But, so it took me a little while to recover, but then once I recovered, they put us back with our team. So we just joined the competition, but we were observers this time. And what ended up happening was that one of the adjacent teams that I had trained with had won the competition. And this is what I really want you guys to hear from this story. When that team won and we had gotten cut and we lost, all the story, the negative story that I had been telling myself, that I didn't belong in this group, that I wasn't good enough, that these guys were better than me. That whole negative story started to compound inside of my mind. When they won and I was sitting there on the sidelines and I saw them win, the first thing I could think about, the first thing I thought about was, oh, poor me. Everybody else is better than me. I thought about the negative. And what ended up happening is I started drinking. I said, fuck this. go grab a beer. And I just started getting my buzz on, trying to forget how I felt. But as I started to drink, the more sad I actually started to feel about myself. And then I went to sleep and I woke up the next day and I felt even worse, because not only did I have a hangover and I was a failure, but now I was a guy that ran from his problems, and I didn't even process the loss. You know, I was still compartmentalizing the loss, and I felt like shit. At the same time, I was trying to be happy for the guys that had won. I was happy for my team members, you know? But deep inside, I was like, man, why couldn't that have been me? And to add some pain to the event, I go back to the installation that I was at. Every day I'm driving in, there's a giant sign outside the base that says, congratulations, so-and-so, for winning the Army's Best Ranger competition. I trained with these guys every single day. I got exposed to the same exact training that they did. I'm gonna roll with it, guys. That was my dog came out here and just jumped on the tripod, so I'm gonna roll with it. I got exposed to the same exact training that they did, but I lost. And on my way in, driving into the base every single day, I was reminded of that loss. Well, it took a while, but I dissected that event over and over again. So why did they win when I lost? Why did they win when I lost? Well, it was a couple things. I lost because every day that they showed up to win. They removed and suspended disbelief. Remember this. One of the keys to success, one of the keys to winning, is you have to suspend disbelief. These guys showed up and they said, what if we could? They had faith. You know? Fear says, what if? Faith says, even if. They showed up and they said, even if something goes wrong, we're still going to figure it out. I showed up and I said, what if? What if I show up and I don't make this? What if I fail? What if I had all this doubt and fear and insecurity inside of my head every single day I showed up, and it started stacking up and it compounded. And that took away from my performance during the training. How can you perform at your best when you're thinking about yourself at your lowest? How can you perform at your absolute best when you think you're the worst? It's not in alignment. So if you think you're the worst, you're gonna show up and you're not gonna perform. Well, it took me a while, but after that event, I ended up bouncing back. And I went on to running my first solo marathon shortly after that. It was like this light went off in my head. I took all the failing from that event, and I just decided I was going to become better. I said, I'm going to run a marathon. I'm going to start really pushing myself, challenging myself. That led to me doing my first marathon on a treadmill. It led me to doing several half marathons. It led me to changing the entire way that I worked out. It led me to running 100 miles in the Colorado Rockies. It led me to my first Ironman in Colorado. I did a 140-mile Ironman with like barely any train up. And that failure catapulted me to higher levels of success. So the law of polarity means that in every situation, every negative situation has a positive that can come out of it. Okay? Every problem has an opportunity. So whatever you're going through in life, you go through a breakup, you go through a business bankruptcy, you go through something negative in your life, there is an opportunity tied to that problem, to that negative situation. The issue with most people is that they only see the fucking problem. Stop looking for the problem. Get yourself back on track. Get to a high vibration. Go crush another workout. Go process. Go figure out what went wrong. Get the lesson and realize that there's a big opportunity for you. For me, my opportunity was pushing myself physically and mentally to the next level, using the pain of failure to propel me higher, which has led me to sitting in front of you guys here. And I still carry this coin in my wallet today. 2014. I've been carrying this coin for 10 years. And it's because I have a lot of military coins, ones where I was given coins for all kinds of outstanding things. But this one comes from failure. And I keep it with me because it reminds me how much room I have to grow. It reminds me that every failure can catapult you to more success. Guys, the laws of the universe, if you can work with these laws, you don't have to wait to get back on track. You can just start working in harmony with them. And like I said, if you're in a negative situation, realize that there's an opportunity that you're just not seeing. You got to look for it, and it can propel you to the next level. I'm going to cut out, guys. I love you guys so much. Remember the law of polarity. Work with the laws of the universe, and I'll see you in the next one. Conquer all.